Hi everyone, welcome back to Just Jasa. As you know, I'm Jasa, and today we have Little Marvelous in our video. So today's topic is dimming my light, and we have our amazing special guests from the Women with Audacity. I will let them introduce themselves.
Hi guys, my name is Alana. Hi, I'm Kai.
Yes, so these are the Women with Audacity. These are my amazing ambassadors for the Raw brand. I am obviously going to do a much better introduction for all of them at a later date, but because they are joining me today on our topic, I want to make sure you guys know exactly who they are. If you are new, please make sure you turn on your notifications, you subscribe to our channel, and come back every Friday and now Wednesday for our different segments. But for people that know, every Friday we are here with our different topics. And today, obviously, is going to be dimming my light. So let's get straight into the intro. Guys, welcome back. So we're going to jump right into our topic. We all have amazing perspectives, and I'm so happy I have some help today because I really didn't plan this out. I knew what I wanted it to be, but I haven't thought it really through. So we're going to kind of go with it. And I'm super excited because I've already heard some of the perspectives, and Marvelous is going to have a lot to say, as you see. So we will definitely try and touch on everybody's experiences. I am going to let one of you guys start so I can get him together. All right. Jump out.
Okay. The perspective I had about dimming my light is more so in a professional setting, whether that's work or school or whatever. I think a lot of the times we're all trying to just fit in when we were all born to be ourselves uniquely and we were born to stand out. Like the things that make you different are the positive attributes about yourself. So I don't know, like, especially if you work in not such a diverse setting, if that makes sense. You kind of hide things about yourself, like specific demographics have.
Girl, you better be real. All right. We are
Like
raw
black
over here.
black people, you know when you talk to a black person. Okay.
Jump.
You just know that we have our things that we just do because of how we were raised. And other people don't necessarily have that, or they don't really know what to do with that, or it makes them uncomfortable. But that doesn't mean that you should dim your light to make them comfortable. You should just be yourself, and they should learn how to deal with your light, no matter how bright it is.
Who coming through? Am I coming through next? How you got it? What you want to do? Because Lana done dropped it. You want me to come? I'll be.
Are we first responding to what the people said? Like the person.
You can do whatever you want, girl. We just really, we chatting it up. However you feel.
Take it away.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump back in because Lana definitely hit the nail on the head. That is so crazy that really I can spread. No, I was gonna spread it to minorities, but I really see it mainly in Black people, and this is something that me and my husband have talked about a lot, especially when it comes to the Asian culture because he is Filipino. So he talks a lot about experiences that they have or ways that they deal with dimming their light or their culture. And I agree to a certain extent, and there's some things that we just can't understand on the same plane. And an example I had gave him was for the Asian community or other communities that have come here, they have the ability to leave their situation and come here to, even if it wasn't as good as they had hoped, it was different, it was better. Whereas we are stuck here. Most of us don't know anything about our other culture. We don't know anything about the places that we may have come from. So, we kind of either bite that bullet and dim our light, or we just kind of, lash out and try to be who we are and get that pushback. And I think that that's important. Like, we have to realize regardless of how we do it, it's going to be some pushback. Either you're too white or you're trying to act out of your culture or you're too Black. So what are you going to do? Just be yourself and take it as how it is going to come out. Either you're going to be just over the top, or you're aggressive, or you're passionate, or you're too just into yourself, or you're always talking about the culture. It's always going to be a complaint. And I definitely agree. It's ridiculous, especially in the workplace, because, girl, I was watching a podcast with freaking Amanda Seals, and she had Tabitha Brown on there. And Tabitha Brown was saying for the longest, she would whitewash herself, code switching, her hair would be straight. She would do so many things to get these roles, and they never happened. Yeah, I know. That was wild. Went back too far. How she would try to get these roles in these whitewashed presents. And one of the people, I guess the assistant or someone, was saying when are you gonna show your light and be you? That's when you'll get your positions. And she said in that moment, that's when she changed, and that's what happened. She got her life back together. She went back to being herself. But she also had mentioned how difficult it was to go back to her normal dialect, because she had been code switching for so long that it was so hard to just transition back. And I really sat with that, because I was thinking about an interview I had recently, actually, and my hair was ethnic. It was ethnic. And in my thought, I'm like, holy crap, I'm going to have to take down my hair or make it all one style, or just make it to where it's more digestible. And instantly it made me sick, because it's like, no, if you can't accept me and how I'm going to come to work in October, in November, in December, and, January, all these different months that are coming up, because I'll change it with the wind. So if you can't accept that, and I have to have it straight or or in, one consistent style that they're used to, it's just a little ridiculous. But we do have a tendency to do that. And I'm not sure why, we've been here long enough to kind of let that go. But for some reason, it's like we're taught to at some point. And trying to break it is crucial. I think it is so crucial for us to be in our original design. And that is just, that's my perspective on it. Kaale, did you want to respond before I move on?
So definitely wanted to say that, well, Alana and I work at the same place, so we've definitely experienced that same feeling. And I remember calling mom and being like, is this normal? Because I feel like I've never felt before. Like I've never had that type of experience to where I felt like an outcast, because, I've always grown up where we're the majority. So that was really interesting to have those type of feelings, because it's very hard to digest, like, as a Black woman. Like, you hear it all the time, especially if you're on Black Twitter. You hear the crazy things that happen, but to actually experience them is another thing. And honestly, it can be really painful, because it's like, I know, Jason, you were like, I don't know why, but shoot, we all know why, like what it's rooted in. And yikes, like the fact that it's still happening and right in our faces, but it's been a few years, you would think, okay. But as far as like, ooh, I was going somewhere with that. Hold on. Let me find it again. Okay. I'm gonna come back.
Girl, I do the same thing. You'll catch me. I'll be like, ooh, okay, you know what? Try to use a different word. It's cool, because that's what we're gonna come back. It's funny.
I have something.
Oh, girl, go. Tell me about it. What you
I was just gonna say, like, I know we're saying like this is a thing that Black people have, like a problem that Black people have. But I want to go ahead and point out that it's mainly Black women. Like Black men, okay, whatever. But like Black women, for some reason, we have a tendency to try and make everyone around us comfortable. And I don't know what that's about with the whole gender thing of it all. But like in every aspect, we just are trying to help everyone else instead of helping ourselves. Like we help ourselves last, if you know what I'm saying. So it's like, why do we do that? Let's just stop doing that collectively.
Girl, yes. Yes. And it's funny because although, once again, my husband is not Black, so it's fine, but I definitely get that different perspective. And that's something that we talk about often. Like, I was having a conversation with his friends. We had some friends over one night, and we were just able to sit there and talk And I asked him, like, is this normal? Like, do you guys just sit around and, openly talk about different things? I'm like, it's really hard for women to do that because either we're in competition, we're trying to dim ourselves or make, like you said, that other person comfortable while we're listening to their life or their experiences, or we're just constantly venting about things that we're going through. And whereas, yes, we'll find those times where we're just talking, but most of the time it's always a motive of some sort. Like, we, not necessarily in the negative sense, but there's always a reason why we're doing something. And for men, like you said, even men of Black or minority, just in general, they don't really worry about that. They do have things that they kind of encounter socially, but it's always women and our Black women. And it's weird because academically we are ranked number one, but socially we're at the very bottom. So it's like, okay, we can't make anyone else feel any more comfortable. Like what else can we do? We're already at the bottom. No matter what we do, no matter how much we accomplish, no matter how much we obtain, we will always be seen as less than. So why is it the innate desire to just lower ourselves even more? So that's definitely a question. I might post that. I'm going to post that later because I am curious. I want to know like what fuels other women to do that. And I think something else that comes to mind as I'm rambling, I remember Mom, she used to tell me like the best show of your own confidence is being able to give another woman a compliment. And that was always something I kind of tried to embody, and not in the sense of like, oh, well, I'm not enough to give that person a compliment, or like I don't have that security, but it was just always weird. Like it was always really hard to do because it's just like, what are they going to think? That's going to be weird, or, it's just an uncomfortable situation. But if it came down to it in the majority race, that's easy. It comes out, you can give the majority a compliment. You can do things to make them feel good. But when it comes to giving us a compliment, even on, on the streets, it's harder to do. So I am very curious on that aspect.
Marvelous.
Stop. You see him bopping me in the mouth.
I really do. I don't. Come on.
Yes. He's like, I got something to say. And that's something else I think is kind of crazy too, because my son doesn't look like me. And that's something else that I find myself, even like when we go to the store, trying to dim myself so I don't draw attention to us and our differences. And it's crazy because I didn't realize it until I've started experiencing more of, oh, he's like really light conversations. And for me, because I know this, we can make any shape. Black people, Black women can produce any shade. So it's crazy to me to hear those conversations, because at the end of the day, he's still Black. And that's something that really bothered me too. At first, it was like a contradiction. Like, how am I going to deal with this? Like on our application for his birth certificate, we put all of his races, and not just the ones like, oh yeah, my great 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 grandmother twice removed. No, like his direct, distinct cultures, nationalities were put on the application, and all they chose was Black. So it's like, how do you choose? Yes, exactly. On his birth certificate, it's Black, and it's.
I didn't. But I was back to like, if your mom's Black, you're Black. That thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why.
Yeah, and that's what was so crazy to me, and what made it so important to talk about. Because yes, he's Black, but I'm not just Black. Like I have other parts of me that are direct. Tony is white and Filipino directly. So it's like, when are those, going to be counted? And when we break it down, it's equal across the board for him. So it's one of those conversations that I think goes beyond dimming our light. It's like we're put in this spot that only has dim light. It's absolutely wild now that we're talking about it. But I would say even another perspective that I've had is with family and friends, right? So for me in school, mainly, I used to be really bubbly. I still am, depending on who you talk to. But it always was brought to my attention as a negative. Like, why are you so bubbly? And it's just like, you unhappy swine. Why are you people so angry, or laughing too loud, or just being myself when everyone else is on a lower vibration. And that's something that always stuck with me. Like, even in relationships up until now, it was really hard for me to be myself and be goofy or want to talk about the different things that came to mind, because I wasn't sure if that person would receive it. And I think that for me, that was my example of dimming my light and constantly not knowing who I was or what personality traits I held, because I was constantly trying to make that other person feel comfortable or change to be more appealing to the people around me. And I think that that was something that I've always struggled with. And definitely something I'm still working on, but you know, everyone has their perspective. Yes. Kai, you figured out? Did you think about yourself? Or Galana, you got to go for it, girl.
I was just gonna say, like, when you're in a room of people and the people in your, and I'm saying room, but I just mean like your life, the people in your life that you're around all the time, and they feel that you're too much. Like, I'm talking directly to you, Jason. They feel like you're being too whatever, too much whatever, and it's just you being yourself. Like, it's time to go to another room. Because, like, obviously people in this room can't handle the capacity of awesomeness that you bring to the table. Like, you say that to a child. This was you as a child at the time, telling her she's too loud, she's too happy. What are you even talking about? She's supposed to be happy. Leave her alone. Y'all need to get on. And now that you're an adult and have more say so of who is in your life, you need to reevaluate the people that you got around, because that's ridiculous.
Girl.
Happy. Oh, y'all be sad and y'all need to go to therapy. Leave her alone.
It's bad because it's happened so much that I don't know how to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to walk away. I don't know how to like let somebody know. Like, I just don't. I am so used to just taking it. Because even me and Tony will talk about it. He's like, why do you put up with that? Like, that's weird. And I'm just like, I mean, you know, like, I don't know. What do you want me to do? But it is one of those moments where I don't think people realize how much it affects me, or like how much I allow people to have too much power. And I think that's the main premise of it. I let people have too much power or too much say in how it makes me feel. And then I'm sitting there like, okay, well, I got this critique today. Let me go ahead and dial down my personality here, make sure that I'm more appealing here. Okay, well, they didn't like this. So how can I make sure when I'm around them that, and it's weird, but it is one of those, like you said, I'm just not the exit, because I shouldn't have to do that. But I definitely, girl, you're right.
And then, like, chipping away those little pieces of you, like, you're not going to have anything left of yourself. Mm-hmm. You're going to wake up one day and be like, who am I? Like, what makes me happy? What makes me smile? What makes me sad? Like, you're not going to know, because you've been giving away pieces of yourself to please everyone. And you can't please everyone. So people just got to get out.
Girl, where you been? I'm trying to tell you, girl, yes. It happens too. And I think that's another thing that I think all the reasons why we are doing this topic comes out. But that's another thing that I've actually experienced. Like, around the same time in high school, I had someone ask me, like, what makes you happy? I was like, I don't know. Eating, you know, it was like a real question. And not being able to figure that out was very difficult for a long time, because of, like you said, I'm chipping away. And what do I like? What do I just strive to do even now with work? What do I want to do? Not what's going to be, you know, substantial in the long run, not what makes sense, but what do I want to do? And that's something that if we don't figure this out ASAP, you'll end up like me. Yep, I can be the prime. I don't mind that. But it is something that's like super real. And yeah, we need Alana in our lives, because y'all, because I'm telling you, somebody just said it. Get it together. Here. Yeah. That's my 2 cents.
Alrighty. So, I was gonna say that for me, I feel like the friends that I have, I'm like really blessed to have them, because they allow me to be authentic. Like, you know, Alana, my other best friends, Gabby, Especially like because most of my friends met me in middle school when I was very, even more awkward. And, when you're going through that stage and you're just off. Anyways, they met me then and they loved me and vice versa. And now we're grown, we're older. And anyways, something that I do a lot though, especially like constantly wanting to be a peacemaker, is like surveillance other people's emotions over and over and over. And that can be really exhausting. And it can also put me in the position to where I'm guessing, but like moving, like doing physical things off of a guess. Like, oh my gosh, they just pushed that chair over. They must be so mad at me because this is what I did. But then I realized, like, obviously, this is not completely healed for me. But I'm like, oh my gosh, if they were mad at me, they'll probably come and tell me. You know what I mean? And there's people who are passive aggressive, whatever. But I'm not. I'm very communicative, and I expect that from people around me because I'm not going to guess unless I really care about you. But I'm not going to guess. You know what I mean? Or be like in anxiety because I'm like, oh my God, you must hate me. And I feel like that really contributed to me, being really performative, which dimmed my light. Like I just want to exist and be without having to worry about what people are thinking about me over and over. And in order to do that, I have to stop surveillancing people's emotions and just trust that if there's a problem, they're going to communicate that. And somewhere where I have definitely like dimmed my light because I don't feel like I need to do that with my friends and family is romantic relationships. My first romantic relationship was with my ex-boyfriend for almost a year. And that was the first time where I was able to be really vulnerable and like, that's not a friend. It was very interesting because it's kind of like their best friend, but not really. But anyways, it was really cool to be everything that I am and still have someone, love me and find me attractive, and they're not my best friend, so that was really cool. But I noticed that there would be times where I would dim my light by being really agreeable, and, just trying to keep the peace. Once again, being a peacemaker. And now that I look back, that definitely wasn't healthy, and that contributed to, like a lot of reference, like chipping away at myself. So I'm trying to do better and like not be so agreeable because I think sometimes you can either agree to disagree and still hold your own, or you can healthily talk it out so you guys can both see each other's perspectives. But yeah, that's all.
Okay. Sorry, we're like both looking at each other. Well, I know I'm looking at you trying to see if you were. That's funny that you say that, being agreeable, because that's actually another topic I want to do. Do you think, both of you, do you think that as women in those relationship positions, that it's our duty to be agreeable? Ooh, the faces. I can't, girl. I can't. The hair told me all of it. The way it's moving, it told me what I needed to know.
Sorry, Kaale, do you want to go first? Okay. I absolutely not. I don't think in a two-person relationship anybody should be agreeable. Mm-hmm. Just like Kaale was saying, like we can come from two different places, meaning our perspectives, and talk about it and either come to one conclusion or just decide that two things can be true at the same time. That like no one has to be like, I'm tired of fighting, so you're right. That's not productive. And it's not going to prevent future situations from happening because you didn't solve anything from this disagreement. So, no, I don't think anyone needs to be agreeable in any situation.
I completely agree. Coming from personal experience, a lot of times I would do that because I would be so exhausted from the argument that I would just want it to be over because I just hate arguing. I mean, I don't think any sane person likes to argue. But after that was done, I would have this feeling inside like, but it's like a little person inside being like, but I didn't get to speak, or I didn't get to say how I really felt. And that should not be how anyone's feeling, especially like, ooh, I was about to say, oh my gosh, this is a side note, but I was going to say as a grown woman, but truth be told, even children, I don't think should feel like that. Like that they didn't get a chance to speak, not even to say that, oh, you're right or wrong, but just like you deserve to have the floor and to be listened to and to be heard. You know, you shouldn't just have things that you said. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. The point is, everyone deserves to be heard and listened to and respected, and nobody should just be agreeable, because that is self-depreciating to constantly be agreeable over and over for the sake of someone else.
Preach, Kai. Well, I would say, I would say I definitely can relate to both because I have been in both situations. I think with my first marriage, I was very like, no, I'm not going for that, because I do have an opinion and there's certain things that I do have to get out. And I think something that I learned more recent than not, that I have to choose my battles. And that's not even just with relationships, that's with everything. I have a bad habit of wanting to voice myself and making sure that I'm heard, or I get off my chest everything I need to say, even if it's, wrong or not the right time. So I will say that in that aspect, yes, I completely agree, because you have to speak up, but I also know sometimes I have to pick my battles. And I can relate with Kai too, in the sense of I'm tired. It's like just as simple as that. I'm tired. We have been talking about the same thing for the past 6 months. We've been arguing the same exact way. That's something else that I've noticed in at least my relationship, that if it comes back up, it's going to be the same exact way. It starts the same way, it ends the same way, and it's exhausting. And it's not necessarily being agreeable. It's just, look, I have nothing else to say. And you know what I'm going to say, just refer to week 3, 2 months ago. It's like, it's the same thing. But I do feel like when you get advice from older women, or you ask anyone, the consensus is, oh, well, you have to do certain things that make you just kind of submit to the situation. And I don't agree with that. I don't think that being agreeable is always the right method. There are sometimes, yes, like you said, you're going to have to kind of bite the bullet to move on. However, there is always that small little voice, like you said, kind of is just like, I still have something to say. And for me, I can say I have both. There are times where I did say what I wanted to say, but then I have that small voice that's like, I just want this to be over, or I don't want that person to be upset anymore. I don't want, I just want to be done. And I don't know. I think that for women, it's always been like, or older women, I can say, have always been in that mindset. Like, you have to make that man feel good, or make your partner feel good, whoever is more dominant. And that's something that's super important too. It's the dominance. It's not even the gender. It's literally the dominance. Whose pride or ego do you need to cater to most, has the most attention put on it? And that's like mind blowing to me, because I'm very dominant. I can be very dominant. And to be with my husband, who is also very dominant, it's a constant battle of, when do I stop talking? Or when do I just let that person have their win? Because I know I can get over my ego much faster than he can. And it's definitely, I think, something that a lot of women deal with. But I think that's my perspective, for sure.
This right here. I just finished a chapter about justice and men being dominant. And like you said, I completely agree with that. In the relationship, it's about who's dominant. And going back to what you said, I think the reality is that some people just want to be right. I think that's what it is. I feel like this. If you're not mature enough, or maybe even the word is vulnerable enough to be wrong, then are you even hearing your partner? or are you constantly in a defensive state to where you just want to be right? I think that's what the bottom line is. Everyone just wants to be heard. That's what it is, or at least women. I think some men or some people want to be, who are dominant or want to maintain that dominance, have to maintain being right. Even if right is wrong, wrong can turn into right if the submissive person lets it. I hate that. But that's something, once again, from experience and reading this book, I recognize now. Crazy. Revelation.
And I think another thing that ties into it is like, we have a disagreement. It does just because we have a disagreement doesn't mean it has to turn into an argument or someone winning or someone losing. We can just have a disagreement and have a conversation and solve whatever our disagreement was. It doesn't have to turn into someone being right or wrong. It could just be something we talk about. And that goes into if the person you're talking to has enough communication skills to talk about it without it turning into an argument.
You know what's crazy? I'm gonna put us on the spot. It is what it is. But that is something that me and Tony have battled a lot. And that's more so, I think, because of both of us having that desire to be heard as well as being right. I know I do. I like to be in control. That's just who I am. I can admit that. But that is something that I'm working on because of my blessing of having a previous marriage and learning from it. I think people really dwell on, oh, I've been through so many marriages. It's not necessarily a bad thing. What's bad is if you don't take anything from it. And I was able to at least learn, okay, my communication sucks. I shut down very quickly. I don't like to argue. I don't like to go back and forth. And that's something that when it comes to me and Tony, we can have disagreements. But something that he doesn't like is if I feel myself getting worked up, I stop. I'm not the type to keep feeding into it because I just know who I am. I'm not, it could be a simple disagreement, you know, we're just kind of stating our views. But by the time I start getting worked up, it's an argument because I feel like you need to agree with me. And that's not, you know, that's not the platform. Like, I'm just like, we're just talking and I know that. And I think that for him, it's really hard because he's like, well, why can't you just, you know, have a disagreement or debate or talk? And I'm like, because I know my limits. This is it. And I think that when it comes to most people in those dominant, submissive situations, the person that's dominant wants to have that opportunity to fight and bicker and prove their point or show their dominance. And I feel like there's those flip sides of you can also be dominant and submissive. You can know, like, I know what I'm capable of, so I don't need to do all the rah-rah or jump and, you know, show my dominance. I'm just going to fall back and let that be my dominance in that moment. And where am I going with that? Yeah, that's where I'm going. That's where I had a moment. It was so good I lost it. But yes, essentially saying the same thing. It's one of those things where you really, like you said, Alon, you have to know who you're talking to. Like if you're not capable of having those moments and like you said, Kai, being vulnerable enough to let that person do their thing, it's all for nothing. Like you're arguing for nothing and you guys are both trying to prove your points or fight each other and it's just pointless. Ooh, we dimming lights. I love this. This was so great. All right, but does anyone else have any more to say on dimming our lights?
Just something really, really quick. That, when you're dealing with two different perspectives, I think a lot of times people are arguing with each other and like fighting each other and not realizing that it's not me versus you. It's supposed to be us versus this problem. Like, let's just fix this problem. And I think a lot of people miss that or it just goes over their heads a lot of times in the heat of the moment. And so I'm like you, like when I get worked up, like I'm not talking about it anymore. I need some time. And I think sometimes that space can help because it's like I'm really yelling at someone that I love. Like, let me take a step back and realize it's not about me versus you. It's about us versus this problem. We can fix this problem if we just calm down and talk to each other instead of talking at each other and no one's really listening.
And I feel like that should be emphasized more. Like if you recognize your capacity take a breather. That's emotional intelligence at its finest. Take a breather. If you keep going, something bad could happen. You know what I mean? We all been there. Am I right? And also, isn't it hilarious? I think it might have happened with me and Jason before, one of my siblings arguing about something real bad. And then they say something and you're like, oh, I was actually wrong. Like, my bad. Like, and then you're like, sorry, you know?
Girl, if that don't happen with everyone, but see, I'm gonna ride that out.
Literally, because like I took it too far. Like, we got to keep going now.
Right.
I don't even care. It don't even matter who was wrong. You still wrong.
Girl, what? I feel bad. Sometimes after arguing with Tony, he'll be sleeping. I'm just looking at him like, my fault, player.
Like, I'll never say that to you, but
right.
You know, you don't even need.
Just know.
Girl, what? That's the truth. Anyway, so this has been an absolutely wonderful topic. I don't think I've ever had this much commentary in my videos, but this was Dimming Our Light. Next week is something else. I'll have to post it because y'all, it's not coming to my mind at this moment. And I'll actually have another awesome woman with audacity on to do it with me. I think, Kai, you were coming back for the next one too. I don't remember. I'll have to look in the text. But this was awesome. So you guys can look forward to this. We started off with Commentary Fridays, having all of the ambassadors on to talk about topics with me. And we had our SheEO on Wednesday. So we will definitely be repeating this every week. We'll have a SheEO every Wednesday. We'll have our topics every Friday. And at the end of the month, you can look forward to having all of us. But if you did not already, make sure you subscribe, turn on your notifications, and like and share this video. We need to make sure we get our subscribers up. Our goal is 100, y'all. We ain't moving. I don't know what that's about because I have all these viewers on one video, but nobody's subscribing. That's weird. That's weird behavior. We're not a fan. So make sure you definitely subscribe, share it, and tell that person to subscribe so we can get all of these views and get everybody out on our channel. But until next time, thank you so much. Until next time, bye.